Okay, so good evening and welcome. I would like to share with you an update on the research that I've been doing and that's been so generously funded by the Lewis Center for Wellbeing and research headed by Sarah Rodman Alvarez. And my name is Louise Kelly. I'm a professor of management and leadership in the College of Business and Public Policy here at University, Public Administration here at University of Laverne. So the grant that I'm completing for this first year of this fellowship is it's on the topic of authentic leadership and looking at the role of emotional intelligence, resiliency, and mindfulness informing authentic leaders. And you'll see what we were trying to do with this research is really help people to think, okay, I want to be more authentic. What does it look like to make that happen? And what are the building blocks? And we were proposing the psychological capital, EI, resiliency and mindfulness would help to form authentic leadership. And that's what we went about researching this first year. So what is authentic leadership? Authentic leadership is a style of leadership that builds leader legitimacy through honest relationships with team members, and it's built on an ethical foundation. And the idea is building trust and generating enthusiastic support from coworkers and team members to improve, individual performance, for improve team performance, and creativity and innovation is a big part of authentic leadership, and also constructive conflict resolution. I've written on that actually. So this is a grant from the Lewis Center for Wellbeing and Research, and I had the privilege to be a founding research fellow to study these building blocks. And our research, you'll see, involved surveys and qualitative interviews. I do want to say that one of the amazing things about this fellowship experience was really having the chance to have meaningful interactions with my colleagues from all the different colleges at Laverne, top-notch researchers, and we just looked at things. We had a journal club every month. We read journal articles, and it just expanded our whole idea of our research. Such an enriching experience. Definitely the most high quality interaction I've experienced with fellow faculty because of being interdisciplinary in part, I believe. Okay, so the team was myself. I'm the principal investigator. I'm also working with Ebony Williams. She expressed an interest to help with this project, and she's been wonderful. And Isa Hashemi, who is a Jungian psychologist and who really brought this whole life story methodology, triggers, crucibles, etc. And he's got Ph.D. in organizational psychology. If you know the famous Adam Grant, that's his area. So that was a great addition. Isa Hashemi, international researcher. And some other team members have joined. Carl Moore, professor of leadership and strategy at McGill University in Canada. Pablo Ruiz Palomino, who is at the University of Castilla-La Mancha in Cuenca. And Denise Lopez, who is another organizational psychologist. And Denise and Isa are both coaches, and you'll see how they had a role as we went on. So what's the research? We were looking at looking at doing this deep dive on the building blocks of authentic leadership and looking at some different cohorts, students, staff, and faculty at ULV. We're particularly interested in students of color, student leaders, because we understand that some of the biases and challenges that these students face requires more support for pursuing authentic leadership. And that's true of anybody who's not in the dominant position in society. So women entrepreneurs, we're also interested in CEOs, Indigenous leaders, and social entrepreneurs. So our other interests are developing a curriculum, and you'll see we had the great success to propose, I had the great success to propose a course based on this that was successful. We're also looking, I'll tell you about that. We're also looking at training, and we're doing a pilot project this year. Okay, so let me say a few words about authentic leadership. You should never get academics talking about our research. We never finish. But so this is a newer construct in leadership theory. You're probably familiar with transformational leadership, which is the more established construct. which I'm a great fan of, and I write on and I work with in consulting. And that really leads to a high level of innovation. But this is a newer construct. And many of us believe that this is the next step with transformational leadership. And it's a form of leadership that really resonates with our students, millennials and Gen Z. I talk to them about this authentic leadership, and they just get it straight away, because that's how they want to lead. They want to lead from their moral values. They want to lead from who they are as a person, a unique individual. And next year's grant, which I'm delighted to say that we were funded for a second grant, will involve creating a coaching protocol for employees and students and really developing that systematically. So authentic leadership dimensions, there's 4 main dimensions: self-awareness, relational transparency, balance processing, and internalized moral perspective. Self-awareness is that sense, think of the emotional intelligence piece. It's a sense that you know what triggers you. And you're aware when you're triggered, and you can work with your own reactions. So this is the opposite of someone kind of pounding the table with the red face saying, I'm not angry. Okay, self-awareness is you understand what's going on in terms of your own emotional reaction to things. Relational transparency is simply about letting people know where you stand on controversial issues. Well, I don't need to tell you 2021. If you're alive here in the US and globally in 2021, there's a lot of controversial issues and a lot of things that are polarizing. And an authentic leader is able to share their best thinking. This like, here's where my thoughts are on this at this time. Balance processing, gotta say, that's the hardest one for me, always. Balance processing, really think of it like active listening, where you're actually listening to a point of view that is perhaps diametrically opposed to your own. And you're not just looking to rebut it, you're really trying to understand a different perspectives. And internalized moral perspective, this is one that really appeals, as I said, to the younger generation, is the idea that you would make your leadership choices based on your moral compass. And I couldn't take out all the animation in this slideshow, so bear with me with the animation. So we talked about transformational leadership. You've got charismatic leadership as sort of a building block of transformational leadership, but authentic leadership goes to a higher level. Well, a higher level of transparency, I would say. Not necessarily a higher level, but and authenticity. And these are really positive psychology, positive organization scholarship, POS, this notion of psychological capital, which we talked about, the EI, resiliency, and mindfulness. And the idea is like, how can we use this to create positive organizational behavior, people acting in ways that they're pursuing a higher level within the organization, more collaboration, more constructive conflict resolution, more innovation and creativity. Okay, so, I'm having a little trouble with the animation here. So let me see if I can, there always has to be a tech glitch. Maybe I'll put some of these in a smaller format. So you see these 4 dimensions. And one of the things in our research framework, we're looking at the role of emotions, life triggers, and values. So we're helping, we're doing a deep dive to help folks self-reflect on how these elements contribute, just trying to keep an eye on time here, contribute to authentic leadership. And so we really want to see how authentic leadership relates to other leadership constructs, and what are the forming factors. There's really not a lot of research on that. We've been looking and doing our research design with a heavy emphasis on life story and people making sense of their own unique life story. And we're in part doing this so that leaders can address these ethical and moral challenges. So you see the emotional intelligence, it also has 4 subdimensions. You can, basically it's the self and others. So your knowledge of yourself, and you're also your ability to manage yourself. When it comes to how you interact with others, is how do you express your emotions, and how are you able to manage the emotions of those that you're working with and co-workers. Resiliency has some constructs of optimism, hope, bouncing back, and meaning creation. we don't need to talk, I don't need to be heavy-handed to say after a global pandemic that resiliency and optimism, hope, bouncing back, creating meaning out of difficult circumstances is a very important part of uh, what our students need, the skill set that our students need, and our faculty and staff. So you see, we're looking at resiliency and then also mindfulness, how that influences the authentic leadership. Okay, so I think in terms of the practical, how we collected data, we used a mixed method. The quantitative, we used some scales on these well-known constructs that you see right here. So I could just authentic leadership, emotional intelligence, resiliency, mindfulness, and we threw in the big 5 personality because it's always interesting to see how those dimensions play out. Qualitative, we use the methodology of life stories to explore forming experiences and see how this could be an antecedent of authentic leadership. We looked at childhood experience, parents' dynamics, adversities, life mottos, definitions of success, what was financial success, how was that defined, crucible experience, building on the work of Warren Bennis, famous article, very influential in our thinking, and basically critical incident analysis is a methodology we used. What are some of the outputs of this research? We have a panel accepted at the Academy of Management in August. You're welcome to come join us. Of course, it's on Zoom or web conferencing. That's with myself and the whole team. You'll notice that we have Tabitha Bull, the CEO of Canadian Council for Aboriginal Business, and Alain Bellemare, who's a former CEO of Bombardier in Quebec, and operating executive with the Carlyle Group. So these are 2 community leaders and CEOs, and we're going to be interviewing them in this panel, as well as sharing our research from the academics. So you see there's a mix of academic and practitioner approach here. We have an article that we're in progress on, which is Authentic Leadership Development, the Role of Narrative Self, Life Mottos, and Crucibles. Course proposal. This is one that makes me extremely happy. I put in a course proposal for the new Latinx minor for undergraduates at University of Laverne. What a wonderful idea that is, really fitting with who we are as a college. And so this course proposal was accepted and is now a course in the in this minor, and it's authentic leadership in the Latinx context. And it's really looking about how can we support authentic leadership in the Latinx, in society, within organizations. We look at questions of intersectionality, collective leadership, Aboriginal leadership. It's going to be an exciting course. I look forward to teaching that. And the students will be doing a lot of active research in that course and, of course, self-reflection. Now we have a new phase is we're doing a coaching, we're using the findings, which we found the positive relationship, I'll show you here, that we were looking at between these emotional intelligence, resiliency, and mindfulness all seem to contribute significantly to authentic leadership. So we were very excited about this, these findings, and we wanted to do this kind of action research approach where I think of it the right foot and the left foot. So the right foot is the research and the left foot is the action where you bring that work to the community to try to make a difference in people's lives. And so the research I've described to you, now we're starting with a coaching protocol. We're doing a pilot study this summer. And we have 2 coaches, Isa Hashemi and Denise Lopez. They're going to coach a total of 20 University of Laverne members. They're using this, I think I can put this on full. They're using this GROW coaching model where people define their goals. That's my dog joining in here. Their goals. They talk about the reality of where they are and then the obstacles and how they can develop a way forward. So we're trying to build self-awareness, self-reflection, and this relational transparency, balance processing, and defining of one's values with our student population, our staff, and faculty and alum. And if any of you are interested in this coaching, please contact me, lkelly@laverne.edu. But we are doing, we're going to be doing 20 community members coaching them with 3 coaching sessions, and part of it will be a research intake, and then also part of it will be really helping them to pursue their goals. And of course, we worked very hard on the IRB, both for the original research and then a follow-up, what they call an amendment. It's going to get a little water here, an amendment to the IRB for the coaching protocol. So we're really excited to be developing this and looking forward to seeing and tweaking that for our research grant next year, which will be making that coaching protocol more scalable. So that is where I would like to leave you today. So thank you so much for taking the time to share this research that we're doing. You can reach me quite easily through Sarah Rodman Alvarez. I can't say enough about how positive an experience this has been. Sarah Rodman Alvarez is a visionary leader and has really developed a learning community of experts in in this fellowship, and I'm delighted that we'll have some new members joining next year, and we'll continue with some of the members this year. In particular, I plan to do some work with Grace Zhao, looking at music appreciation and mindfulness and how that contributes to authentic leadership. So I really, just to conclude, I really feel that the University of La Verne is becoming cutting edge in these well-being constructs through empowering faculty research. And that is something that I am delighted to be part of. And I think that by doing something, we're such a diverse community, and by creating this ourselves, homegrown, so to speak, we can really adapt this to the reality of the challenges of community members that look like our community members here at University of La Verne. And, we can have a real impact on social goals, business goals. This can be very transformative. However, we need to learn how to support people to be authentic leaders. We can't just kind of say, hey, go do this. You deal with the blowback and the difficulty of being an authentic leader. No, let's see how emotional intelligence, what kind of role does that play, resiliency and mindfulness. And the coaching methodology seems ideally suited to this. So please let me know your thoughts, your questions, and if any of you want to be involved in this, either to be coached or to be involved in the research or to look at linking this with different community organizations, I would be delighted to work with you. So I am going to stop right there, and I look forward to continuing this conversation. All right, my friends, I'm going to stop the recording. That would be